These guys from a podcast called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thursday" want to talk to you, and I think and I said, you don't have to tell me what it's about. I said, if it's called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," you definitely don't need to tell me what it's about, and I'm going on. This is what I want to do.
It's a Seinfeld podcast. It's called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty." But I thought, this is what a podcast should be.
I just did the Seinfeld guys pod the other day. It came up.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh,
that one. Shout out. We've done it. I've done it. Have you did it?
I've not gotten a chance to do it yet. I'm looking forward to it.
It's so fun. They're so fun.
When I don't know, it must have shown up in my feed, but I see these guys tweeting about Seinfeld. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I find it's a podcast called "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty."
One of the most popular Seinfeld podcasts is "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," co-hosted by Chris O'Hara and Tony Chulo.
Welcome to "This Podcast Is Making Me Thirsty," the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is 2 Up and 2 Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, Thirsty fans, welcome back to another episode of 2 Up and 2 Down. And today we are going to discuss The Watch. So, Chris, why don't you give us your first up?
Yeah, folks. So 2 up, 2 down. You know the drill. We got to find 2 positive things about an episode, 2 negative things about an episode. And again, we don't chat beforehand. This is, we're going as if it's live here. No notes shared. So it's always a fun time. So The Watch, if you remember, was kind of a 1-hour episode, if you will, to be continued, but it wasn't. So we do treat it as a separate standalone. And that ran on September 30th of 92. What else ran that night, folks? I'll tell you. On ABC, Home Improvement, of course. This is a Wednesday night. CBS, Country Music Awards. And then on Fox, good old Melrose Place. And Home Improvement and Country Music Awards dominated the night in the ratings. So only 15.2 million people watched The Watch. And it was actually down about 2 million from The Wallet. So it just gives you a little sense, a little more competition that night from the other networks. So here we go. All right, The Watch. All right. Since one of those episodes, there's a lot, not a lot of downs, good amount of ups. You know where to go. But here we go. I'm going to go Costanza at Russell's apartment. Always love that scene. Cynthia, the good-looking girlfriend for Russell, sitting there, in her little short skirt, and Costanza, his famous line, it's a good-looking piece of meat, obviously referring to Cynthia, if anyone recalls her name. And then obviously George doing stairs in an apartment. I love when he does that little step up in Russell's apartment there. And then obviously Cynthia asking about the TV guide, and George, TV, what's tonight? Blossoms on. And the whole dynamic between him and Russell. Oh, who am I talking to? The president of NBC. Of course, he's going to know a lot of. So George in that apartment with Russell, it's all-time stuff. And obviously begging and pleading, etc. with the 13,000, and then obviously negotiating down to 8 each was great stuff. So first up, Costanza and Russell in his apartment.
Yeah, I'll even go just a little bit earlier than that, where he's with the doorman, and the doorman's calling Russell and like, "There's a George Bonanza here to see you," and they're like, "Costanza," and so yeah, great stuff there. Tony, over to you. What's your first up?
Yeah, you guys just both nailed probably the big up of the show for me. By the way, I think Icky Bricky Heart won the Song of the Year at the that award show you were referring to, the country music. So there you go. Hosted by Vince Gill and Reba McEntire. Anywho, yeah, listen, that was a big one. He goes first. That's what happens. I love Suede, so thick and rich. Major Dad. Great line there. The Bonanza line was great. Sunken living room, 1 step. He goes down. I do that every time I'm anywhere with a step. All right, that's a big one. Okay, my first up then. There's a lot here. It's a good episode, obviously. It's a season 4. The whole writing the pilot stuff is always good. Dalrymple, you can't go wrong with Dalrymple. See, I don't know. If I guess I'll just do it since you just. I'll piggyback. I'll do my first up is now they're back at the apartment where George has to tell Jerry what happened, right? Yeah, and just like you said, Jerry's like, so you held out for less money, and then I was wrong, you were right, you're smart, I'm dumb, the whole thing there. Morty's in there. Hey, Georgie boy, you did it. He's all excited. This guy knows what he's doing. It's like, good thing I got your son. He doesn't care about the money. He's not in it for the money. The whole thing there. Of course, Jerry's like, yeah, I'm good for $4,000 when they're leaving. It's always good when George, has to come in and kind of what's the word, like eat crow or whatever, like tail between his legs to Jerry, where thought he had this whole thing figured out. Now he's going to come back and be like, I negotiated for less money, as you said. Good little dynamic there. You got Helen in there with Morty, kind of all excited, and then they find out they're getting no money at all. Before George comes in, he doesn't like Ted Danson. That's why that's why he's held out. That was kind of funny as well. They always take jabs at Ted Danson the whole season. So yeah, I mean, probably not the biggest up, but I think it's a solid up, and I like to piggyback when we can. So I'm going to go straight to the next scene where George has to break the news and tell Jerry, you're smart, I'm dumb, you were right, I was wrong. Good stuff. That's my first up.
All right, yeah, thank you, Tony. So yeah, another great scene. Over to you, Chris. Your second up, please.
Yeah, listen, don't poo-poo. That's great stuff. I mean, incredible up. The parents like thinking George like a hero, like unbelievable. And yeah, just an incredible follow-up scene. Obviously, all right, the watch. Here we go. You know what? Because it's rare, I really enjoy Elaine and Kramer in Kramer's apartment on that blue couch where they're discussing the call to Dr. Reston. Like it's rare when we get Kramer and Elaine together like that, right? But oh man, all right, how often do we do it? And then well, I want to hear it. No, I don't want to do it out loud. It kills the spontaneity. Like Kramer's he's so good. And then when they pick up the phone, you could just like Elaine's like excitement in her face, like he's doing so good. So again, and this happens with George a lot, where he gets so high, and then within one scene comes so low. And I felt like that happened here with Elaine. Obviously, she was so happy about it. Kramer was literally putting on a show, like whatever he was, all those things he was saying. He's like, you're Dr. Reston. I'm a good friend of Elaine's, and then she's like, no, not friends. Cease and desist. Pursue our courtship unfettered. I mean, incredible writing here by David, and what a I mean, this is Kramer at his best. And then, boom, it all plummets, and he wants to meet. Why did you do that? He's convincing the whole thing. So, love that dynamic of those two. Kind of just like a pregame huddle. Like, what are we gonna do? And then all of a sudden, seeing the play go into action, seeing that play do well for a while, then essentially like a football, he fumbled it, right? So. Incredible dynamic between those two. I think over the run, we didn't get enough. We got a good amount of it, like O'Brien and Murphy, those two, when they're like talking about Michael Jordan, they're good together, alone and talking, whatever. So I'm rambling here, but that's my second up. So that's my second up. Kramer and Elaine on that blue couch.
Yeah, good scene there too. All right, so Tony, back to you. Did he take another one of your scenes too?
Yeah, I mean, good scene. That's the scene of the episode for me. I mean, that's a chance I took going with a piggyback. I should have went with my big up. I mean, that's an incredible scene. I mean, everything you just said, you hit the nail on the head. Because I can make things uncomfortable for you and your staff if you have one. It's unbelievable. And then Elaine's like, "Why did you just say no if he makes the appointment?" And Kramer's like, "That's interesting. Like you never thought." I mean, so good. You're right. You could see Elaine's face. She's all excited. Then she's like, "Wait, what's going on?" Incredible. It's an incredible scene. And for all the things O'Hara mentioned, listen, I'm going to go it's a good episode. I got plenty of ups. That was a big one again, though. He took those two scenes, the George and Dalrymple and Kramer and Elaine, are really the heart of this episode. But I'm going to take it one more again, piggybacking Kramer with Reston. I mean, this is an all-timer as well. This guy, this is a gift galore. Nowadays everyone loves the "That's true" line he says to Reston. I'll have a decaf cappuccino. It's like, well, that's a little strange. The guy's like, this is an office. It's a very popular drink, And Kramer lights up the Cubans with them. You guys will be great. And of course, you got to Michael Ridge something to do. He lights the tissues on fire. The whole thing there, just Kramer. This guy Reston was such an oddball character. He doesn't get enough real. When we talk about these characters, Crazy Joe kind of steals it, or obviously guys like Bookman and Sean, Tierney and all these guys and the Rabbi. But this guy Reston, he's got a little bit of weirdness to him, a little darkness to him. Him and Kramer back and forth, that weird apartment, the diagonal building, which is always a funny line. It's architecturally incorrect. George is like the building's on a slant. I'll just go a little bit since we're done here.
Fun fact on Dr. Reston, in real life, he's married to the woman in the non-fat yogurt that Kramer makes out with in the lab.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. Fun fact for you.
See that, folks? We do our trivia. We do have trivia questions. I'm not going up, but since we both gave our ups, I thought Uncle Leo had a great episode. I'm not always a big fan of throwing Uncle Leo around on things, and the package is ridiculous. Brentano's gets a little overplayed sometimes, but it's not bad. But I liked him in this one. I never seen a band like this. He's trying to get Jerry, and then he's outside. When he's outside at the car for the airport drive, great Uncle Leo. He's all decked out. He's all ready to go. Love it. He's all excited. Got a great spot. Jerry's like, great spot. He's like, yeah, I don't want to leave. So that's not really my up. My up is more the Reston and Kramer. But I did love Uncle Leo, I want to say. So a solid episode so far.
Yeah, that Reston scene with Kramer is probably my favorite scene of that episode, because as Kramer's easing into that leather chair, it's making that flatulent noise all the time.
I forgot to mention that in my up. Yes.
Yeah, so it's
incredible.
It's just a riot. So yeah, great up there. So yeah, that's the ups. Now we got to find the downs. So Chris, what's your first one?
Some portion here. I love what he says that. Downs. Yeah, it's a fascinating episode because it's not an all-timer per se, but it's hard to find it down. So listen, I've been tough on Morty throughout this whole run. I might as well keep being tough on him a little bit. I didn't love him fighting with the French host, Maître D, whatever you want to call him. You don't understand. My son wants me to pay for this. Look, as soon as I get back to Florida, I'll mail you a check. Like, listen, and I think in a previous episode, Tony doesn't like the Jerry and his dad fighting about the stuff, and this just takes it to another level. Like, why don't you just put the money in his pant pocket? He could wash them. Just it was a little too much. It wasn't terrible, but I don't think it was needed. I like the father-son bit about paying, but like Morty going after the manager, what are we doing? And yeah, the guy gave a little French accent, maybe a little chuckle, but not needed. I think we could have went longer on Reston or something else. There was enough meat definitely on this bone where they could have done a little more. But so for me, Morty talking to the manager, never loved it. So that's my first down.
Yeah, like Helen could have whipped out a credit card and paid for the meal. It was this an all cash place. So yeah, I agree with that down. So Tony, what's your first down?
Yeah, I think the Seinfelds are old school. I don't know if Helen even has a. But listen, I'm glad you stopped there because my down is the French guy. I thought that guy was terrible. I'm sorry. Love to have him on the show. The accent was atrocious. He was so bad. Dunford with her accent in the Pie, Christine Dunford, friend of the show, loved it. Loved the little accent she put on, a little snooty. This guy was trying to be snooty. Ferris Bueller, reminded of Ferris Bueller a little bit, the guy in that restaurant or whatever. But I thought maybe he was part Morty too, but you kind of gave Morty the down, it sounded like. I'm giving the French guy the down. I didn't like that guy at all. Maybe it was the whole scene I didn't like, but I really didn't like him. I thought it was forced. He was trying too hard to be. I would have rather been a funnier New York kind of guy. I'd be like, no way, give a little bit more back to Morty than the way he was doing it. It was more just like, I'm sorry, what can I do? I don't know. Even the cab driver guy, I need cigarettes. That guy was all right. This French guy, though, I didn't love him. So that's actually my first down. And I agree with O'Hara. Not a lot of downs, but not a perfect episode by any stretch. Just one of these solid season 4s. We'll get to grades. But downs were tough to find, I will say. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with Morty because in the wallet, he stole the show. We gave him his flowers. We loved him. But this part, I think he may have overstayed his welcome a little bit and give him something to do there. So first down is a French guy, piggybacking off the Morty conversation.
All right. Thank you, Tony. So, Chris, back to you. What do you have for your second down?
Second down, and I rarely do this, but I'm going to go with the final stand-up. It didn't even fit the show for all intents and purposes, but the difference between a woman's wallet and a man's wallet, if you remember this, is the photo section. I mean, it almost reminded me of the remote, like, women men hunt, women nest, like, the women carry with a photograph of them of every person they've ever met, every day in their whole lives since the beginning of time. I don't really find it. I'm trying to go back to the 90s and picture my mother's wallet. That's what it comes down to, right? Or your grandmother's wallet. I don't remember them with a bunch of pictures in there at all, for that matter. And every picture's out of date. And then you get, this is my dog. He died during the Johnson administration. Just not a good joke. And then you get stopped by a cop. All right, ma'am. I just want to make sure you had some friends. All right, move along. Like, it didn't tie to the show at all. I don't think, right? It was just kind of one of those like random stand-ups that kind of didn't land. Like he could have done something. I know it's not always related to the show. I get it, but he could have done something like a little related to the show, like I don't know, parents and flirting in front of them. I don't know, but he didn't. And again, it was a struggle to find downs within, right, the scripted part. So I'm gonna go with that last stand-up. It just didn't hit for me.
All right, yeah, thanks, Chris. So Tony, over to you. Your final and second down.
Yeah, this is interesting because as O'Hara mentioned at the top, we don't talk about what we're doing before we go here. We just start recording and we don't know what each other wrote down. But this episode, we are lockstep. My second down isn't quite the same, but very similar. So I just wrote. I thought there was 3 stand-ups, and there was the recap at the beginning. The show didn't actually start for over 2 minutes, but between the recap and then the stand-up, then a middle stand-up, then the end stand-up he's talking about. I mean, there just wasn't a lot of content. The flow of the show, even that opening dinner, the dinner scene with Helen. You talked about Morty. Helen pushing Jerry to talk to Lundy. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. Oh, she's not beautiful. Friend of the show, Lundy, was great. A great conversation we had with her. But that scene was a little bit drawn out. 3 stand-ups, to O'Hara's point, they weren't even that good, plus the recap at the beginning, which was very long. We'll get to the grades in a minute, but this ties into it for me because I just think this episode, for the good stuff we mentioned, it's very not a lot going on. It's short because of all the break-in that I just mentioned, and some of these scenes were kind of drawn out. It's really the 2 ups O'Hara gave, and the Kramer in the psychiatrist's office is the episode. Everything else is like filler. And so that's kind of my down is the flow of the show and not having a lot of content kind of tied into the stand-up, 3 stand-up bits. So that's my second down.
Yeah, and with this episode too, it's the watch. So I just want to throw in one of my own downs. It was that at the very end, Jerry gives Morty a gift, a wallet, and it's a Velcro wallet. I mean, wouldn't you have noticed if your dad ever had a Velcro wallet and that he also hates Velcro already? And then in a Velcro wallet, that's like a kid's gift. That's what you give like a 10-year-old, not a 60-year-old man. So yeah, that part I hated. So, but so that's the ups and the downs. So Chris, back to you. Wrap everything up with a final grade.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, that's the beauty of the show. No matter who you talk to, you kind of see it in a different lens, and It comes back to relatability, wallets, watches. I mean, they're all kind of iconic, like dad things, right? Oh, like I don't even wear a watch. My father wore the same watch for 50 years, And to your point, Schmidt, the wallet, the wallet, you know exactly what your dad has a wallet. So relatability, so that gives it a bump. But listen, this is a tough one. I mean, I believe I gave the first half hour, and again, I think that was the challenge with this is we're kind of looking at it as two different episodes. If it was an hour and it didn't have all that preamble stuff, would Tony be happy? Who knows? But you mentioned Lundy; she's incredible. Elaine, let's look at all the main four. Costanza with Susan, solid stuff in the car. Always like in the car on a date. We didn't mention this. Tony's favorite guy of all time, Crazy Joe Davola. I mean, him meeting Elaine was great stuff. Oh, I should be on the Mount Rushmore, or you might know my face from Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I replaced Teddy Roosevelt's Trust Busters. Bust this. I mean, that great cutesy Elaine. Just like I don't know. I don't do. I remember we're harkening back to giving out phone numbers. So there's a little nostalgia there. The negotiation stuff, it's all time. I mean, it's incredible. We mentioned George and Russell, the Blossom, the Kramer stuff you loved. You mentioned Leo, the dinner stuff. Yeah, it dragged a little bit. The bathroom stuff was just good, really good stuff. So I'm struggling with the grade here. I know the while we gave an A-. I got 2 here. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is season 4. I mean, this is like, there's no down episode season 4. Nothing. And again, the ratings are down a little bit. Was it off a little bit from the wallet? Yes. I think the parents brought it down a little bit. Leo bumped it up. But George was great. Elaine and Kramer are incredible. And kind of, Jerry kind of quarterbacked the whole thing from multiple points of view, right? From the restaurant to his apartment, to just listen. All right, I'm talking myself into it. I'm gonna give the watch a B+. I think it's just this is season 4, and we're like grading against season 4 in some capacity. And yeah, flow a little bit. You never turn it off. The suede you mentioned. Jerry, Marlon Brando. Jerry has his address. The whole thing. So many great lines. So I'm going to stick with a B+ for the watch.
All right, yeah, I think that's a solid grade there. So, Tony, over to you. What do you got for your grade and final thought?
Yeah, it's a lot, covered a lot, and I can't argue with any of it, actually. It's all spot on. I mean, it's season 4, like you said. You're not turning it off, like you said. Listen, I think I said this when we did The Wallet. If this was one tight episode, it'd be an A, easy. I think, I gave The Wallet, the problem is I gave The Wallet a B+, he gave it an A-. So I got a little less wiggle room here. A little less wiggle room because I thought The Wallet was better. But I'm going back and forth because I think his grade is kind of close. I have these both written down. I got 2 written down. I'm kind of in the middle of them. I'm in a tight spot. I did notice this, which I thought was interesting. We didn't bring it up in the grades. There was some really good flow in the writing and directing, and I guess more so editing. And we find out that Larry Charles are probably in the editing room, with what's her face, the woman who Janet. Because if you watch this, there's these overlaps. George and Dalrymple negotiating, then it cuts to Jerry and Leo negotiating in the bathroom. Then you get Crazy Joe and Elaine laughing outside. It cuts to Kramer and Reston laughing in the office. Then you get Elaine giving Crazy Joe the number, saying I never did this. Cuts to Jerry giving Lundy the number, saying I never did this. So 4 different times. I mean, that's really, really well done. The flow is great. And though I mentioned flow earlier, wasn't great, but that was more of content-wise. It was just too short.
Keep in mind, folks, Tony is our editor on this podcast. So he appreciates editing. That's a nice call.
Very good editing in this, yes. I think, again, if they were combined, it'd be an A. I gave The Wallet a B+. The Wallet was better. I got plenty of friends in show business, Leo to Jerry. Forgot that one. Every point O'Hara made is great, but can I give it the same grade? I don't know. I feel like it's a low B+, high B. grades are a little different because if I were to rank them, the wallet's ahead of the watch, but they both can have the same grade in essence, right? They both can have the same grade, but if you're going to list them out, right? So what am I doing here? I think I'm just going to stick with my guns. I think I'm going to go a notch lower than Chris, just like I did a notch lower on the wallet. I'm going to give the watch a B. It's a very, very high B. I think if it combines with the wallet, it's a clean A. But I am going to just say a B. I think there's just not enough. And it is rare for me. Leo's not saving it. I think Helen and Morty actually might have brought this one down a bit, as I mentioned. Jerry quarterbacking, yes, but not much else there. The two great scenes or three great scenes we get are really Kramer George and Kramer Elaine. And so I'm going to B. It's probably a little low. I don't love saying it as I'm giving the grade, but I'm going to be fair here and just go very, very high B, if that makes sense for the watch.
Well, a high B would be a B plus.
Hey,
No, listen. I've known you long enough. I know where you're coming from. But so,
86.3. Yeah.
So anyway, there you go, folks. It's a solid B all around for this episode. So yeah, like you said, Chris, you're not turning it off. It's season 4. Everybody, you're gonna love it. You're tuning in. So yeah, wallet and the watch fall in the same type of same type of grade. So yeah. Thank you guys for another episode of 2 Up and 2 Down, and hope everybody tunes in for our next one.